Hi guys, I'm here today to review Transformers masterpiece MP-21 Bumble, or as we all know him, Bumblebee. This figure was long awaited. Uh, there are many other versions of Bumblebee out there. Forgetting about the movie versions, which are all Camaros. There were almost no Volkswagen Beetles that were issued after the original Transformers figure back, in 1980s, because Volkswagen was unwilling to provide a license to Transformers, to Takara Tomy or Hasbro, to create this figure. So for a long time, Hasbro and Takara Tomy were basically making this figure with slight variations, so it didn't look quite like a Beetle. If you look at the classics or any of the generations or any of the recent versions of Bumblebee, you'll see it's not really a Volkswagen Beetle. So this is quite an accomplishment, a feat for Takara Tomy. They were able to strike a deal with Volkswagen and get this figure made. And I think this figure is amazing. I really like the way this came out. I'm gonna review both the Bumblebee figure and the Spike figure, or the exosuit, whatever you want to call it. This is supposed to be Spike in his exosuit, or I'm sorry, Daniel. It's supposed to be Daniel in his exosuit. Anyways, this was really kind of a miracle, and the reason I'm saying that is, that shows that Takara Tomy and Hasbro, mostly Takara, is able to strike a deal with these vehicle manufacturers, and that just kind of bodes well for the future of masterpiece figures. The next one that's already been announced is Masterpiece Trax, which is a Chevrolet Corvette. I don't think Hasbro or Takara would have had any problem getting a license for a Corvette, because they already have a deal with GM. GM is the owner of Chevy, which makes the Corvette. But regardless, the fact that they were able to get this license and make this figure kind of shows that Takara is really upping their game, and however they did it, it's impressive. They were able to convince Volkswagen that this figure should be made and that it was worth their while to license it. One of the reasons Volkswagen didn't want to do this is they considered this a war machine. They considered Bumblebee a war machine. I mean, of all the Transformers figures, I'd say he was probably the I don't want to call the nicest one, but the gentlest one. So, yeah, he was, he was a war machine, but I think the character behind Bumblebee well represents Volkswagen and their motto. So I'm glad they finally agreed to make this figure. Anyways, without further ado, let's review the box first, and then we'll get on to the figure. The box is, the standard masterpiece box. Now you do have both figures here on the front. I did find this to be a little more glossy than some of the other boxes, but that just might be a function of the color, because he's like a bright gold here. Then you got a picture of the vehicle here. It's called a Volkswagen Type 1. To me, it's a Beetle or a Bug, whatever you want to call it. And then here you've got a figure of Bumblebee with his blaster. And on the back you've got a picture of Bumblebee with Masterpiece Optimus Prime. Obviously, Masterpiece Optimus Prime is way bigger. And that's, I guess, this is in scale. Not only in vehicle mode, but also in robot mode. This is considered to be the right scale. And of course, Bumblebee fits in the trailer, and there's a couple other pictures here of some of the features. You've got his gun, you've got his little backpack, I'll show that. You've got his interchangeable faces, I'll show that as well. And then down here you've got some of what's included in the box. So let's just get this guy open and see what he looks like. Now you get the standard plastic tray, and comes with the Bumblebee figure here in car mode, in vehicle mode, and then the exosuit here. And you've got the little alternate face here. I did not get the battle mask version, so this is what I've got here. Hopefully that comes across on camera. And of course you've got the instructions. Now this is kind of unique because it did come, you know, here's the instructions. Standard Transformers Masterpiece instructions. You know, they're actually very nice quality. They kind of show off features. I'm not going to go over that. But this is what's unique. You know, just like Masterpiece Wheeljack, I haven't done a review yet, but just like Masterpiece Wheeljack, he comes with rear view mirrors, side mirrors, and he actually fits one onto the vehicle mode. I'll show that. I didn't put them in because I thought this vehicle looked much better without it. This was the first figure. I decided not to actually open this and put it on. Others might choose to put this in. I'll show that off, and I'll maybe even take this out of the package and see how it fits. Of course, you get the standard giveaway I never use. So put that away. And here we go. Here is Bumblebee figure and exosuit figure, or Spike. I keep saying Spike. It's Daniel, the Daniel figure. One thing I forgot to show off is the collector's card. I've put these into little plastic protector cases. This one is, I would say, about the same as the rest. I mean, got a picture of the figure in vehicle mode, robot mode, his stats, which are pretty low. You know, he's only got a 1 here and a 2, so Bumblebee's not the most powerful guy. And then you got the animated version on the front, so that's good. I like the card. Now onto the figure. So we'll start with Bumblebee here. Now, I really think this was incredibly done. The engineering behind this figure is outstanding. You know, he is very small. I will give a comparison here. Here we've got Blue Streak, and he comes up to about Blue Streak's waist, and this figure is not that big, so you can kind of see this is pretty tiny, but it's the right scale. I mean, he's supposed to be tiny. So, you know, I like the fact that the engineering on this is still pretty good, even for such a small figure. They took the time to work on the details. This backpack does come off here. It's supposed to be his spare tire, but it really fits here, and there's some gimmicks with that. I'll show that off. It does have this little piece in here, and this is actually supposed to be the license plate. So if you didn't want to put the tire on the back, you could just have the license plate. It doesn't actually say anything. It would have been nice if they put a sticker on here that said Bumblebee or Bumble or something, but they didn't, so it's just a blank license plate. I'm sure there's going to be repro labels, or there's already repro labels for that. But this basically fits in here, stores in here, so that when you're not using it, you can put them in here. And but I like it with the little backpack, or the little spare wheel. Now it does come with this blaster. The hands are not articulated. One of the disappointments of this figure. The hands are kind of solid. They don't move. Actually, they don't even rotate. They do fold in, but I mean that's part of the transformation. So yeah, I mean because it's so small, you don't get a lot of adjustment there. But and here's the blaster. It's kind of this metallic blue, which is nice. It's different from a lot of the other blasters, which were all silver and gray. It makes this guy a little more unique. Another one of the cool things is he's got this Autobot logo here on the foot, but he's also got this, you know, kind of rotating Autobot logo here, and you can have it like that. I don't know why you would want it like that. You can have him without the Autobot logo. I think he looks much better like this, even in vehicle mode. Having this makes sense. There is, you know, kind of a lighter yellow. It's almost like they didn't put enough paint where underneath the logo, so the black kind of shows through. But still, you know, it looks pretty good. The head is on a pretty good ball joint. He looks in all directions. All the joints are really tight on this figure, which is nice. You can get him into a lot of really cool poses. I like that. So let's see. You can take the face off here. It's kind of a tight. You kind of have to pull on the top where there's a little tab. Oh, there he goes. So there's faceless Bumblebee. He's got no face. Now we'll put the other one. I mean, the difference between these two is almost on the left one is smiling and the right one is kind of a straight. I don't know if you can even tell the difference over the camera, but this is the alternate face. There you go. I mean, this one he's kind of grimacing. So I kind of like the smiling face better. I remember Bumblebee as a guy that smiles a lot, but there you go. Now he really is very posable because he's so small. He doesn't have a lot of weight, so you can adjust him kind of any way you want. I do prefer the other face. I'm going to put that back on. It would have been nice if they had a storage for this face like they do with MP-22 Ultra Magnus, but I'm not that picky. So there you go. There is Bumblebee in robot mode. He has pretty good articulation. You know, he's got elbows. The shoulders swing and also are on a ball pivot here, ball joint. The legs are also on ball joints. I like that they're really tight, so you can get him kind of he doesn't flop around a lot. This is actually, I mean, it's not really meant for transformation, but it does rotate here. That's about it for robot mode. I'm going to get this guy into vehicle mode and we'll be right back. Hey guys, we're back from transforming into vehicle mode. This is Bumblebee in vehicle. And, you know, I really think this is an excellent representation of Bumblebee or a Volkswagen Beetle. I do have some issues, but overall I think this is amazing. Now this is supposed to be flipped around and kind of on the yellow side. I prefer to keep it that way because, yeah, it just seems, you know, cooler looking to me. I know he's got this other Autobot logo here, but I like the fact that he's got one on his roof. You know, it does roll pretty well. The wheels are very thin. You know, if I can show you the bottom here, the wheels are extremely thin, and even the plastic itself is really thin, but unless you look at the bottom, you wouldn't notice it. It does bug me a little that it's a little bit cheap, but that's only if you look at the bottom. Now, as you can see, the gun does store here. This is an official feature. The gun can store here. Now, I have a little non-official feature, which is the little extra face can store. So if you can see those two little tabs here, the pins on the face fit perfectly into there. So you can actually store the face on here. There you go. So there you go. And that sits pretty tight. Now that pin is actually meant for this. So if you take that face back out, it's meant to store, actually you're supposed to take this license plate little piece out. I mean, this is tiny, tiny pieces. And then you put this down here for storage. There you go. That's supposed to store there. And then on the back, to fill the gap, you've got this license plate. But to me, this is pretty crappy. It's a blank license plate. It doesn't actually say anything. I don't like that. So what I like to do is put the license plate back in here. Storage. And then put this wheel, oops. Then you put this wheel back on the back of the car. And now that slot's opened up because there's nothing down there, so you can put the face on there. And I don't know if they intended this or not. It's not advertised in the instruction manual. And again, it's also not an exact fit, so if you're afraid to do it, I wouldn't do it, but it does fit there. And now you got storage for everything. So it's a pretty good vehicle mode. Let's do a little size comparison. Here is Red Alert. You can see he's obviously shorter than Red Alert. That's what it looks like. He's also thinner. I mean, but that is the correct size. I mean, he's in scale, so that's what you would expect. But I really like this figure. I think they really did a good job with, the engineering. The transformation is actually really fun. This was one of the few times I thought about transforming on camera. The only reason I don't is there's many other reviews where you can see transformation on camera, and it just doesn't come across very well. So I decided to do, let this transformation be off camera. But the detail, you see my little stored face fell off here. So maybe this isn't the best place, but it does fit there, and I like the fact that I can put that there because this thing's kind of easy to lose, and it sits real nice and snug there. This car does have some detailing. He's got some little, parking lights or blinkers, whatever you want to call them. There's the crest on the hood. There's a Volkswagen symbol right there. Hopefully this is coming across on camera. You got the rear brake lights. Got the bumper. This is a little, you got to be careful with it. I haven't had any problem. I haven't broken or anything, but you do have to be careful. This is a very small and light figure. It doesn't weigh much at all, so you got to be a little careful with it, but I think it's well built. Another feature here that's not really talked about is you can flip this around. You kind of have to open it up. You have to do it before the transformation. I'm not going to do it here, but you have a choice whether you want to have this with the Autobot or the just the yellow. The reason I don't have the yellow is kind of actually, the paint is not thick enough, so the black underneath, I believe it's a black under, coat below, shows through. So this yellow is a little bit darker than this yellow, and that doesn't look so great. So I like to keep it on the Autobot logo. But other than that, I think this is a great figure. I do want to talk about the, see, now that I put this here, this keeps popping off. Mostly because I keep touching it, but let's put this back here. Yeah, maybe this is why this is not meant to go here. Let's keep it off for now. Now, one of the features that's not really talked about is this little rear view mirror. I didn't put it on, so maybe let's see how it looks if you put it on. And he's only got one hole. This is the right side. There's no hole there. And here's the left side, and it does have a place there for it. So let's try to put it in. I mean, this is real small stuff we're talking about. Here you go. I prefer not to have that, only because it's not symmetrical. They gave you two, but there's no place to put a second one, so that's kind of disappointing, and I don't really like this. The fact that there's one, I know that's accurate to the actual vehicle from that era, but to me, that's not, because it's not symmetrical, I don't really like the look of it. But other than that, that's it for the vehicle mode on Bumblebee. Now we'll go over to the exosuit and take a look at that. So here we have, see, now this is one of the problems I'm going to talk about right away. Here we have Spike. I keep saying Spike. Here we have Daniel in his exosuit. I'm going to try to zoom in on the face here. And this is one of the problems. The face is really not detailed. It doesn't look great. And I think a lot of people have complained this wasn't really a good Daniel. But here is from MP-10 Optimus Prime a Spike. Okay. Now, Spike's head is actually smaller than Daniel's head. And these are supposed to be in the same scale. So, obviously, this guy, his head should be about the same. These guys are about the same age. I guess, Daniel was actually a little bit younger. He was a young kid in the cartoon. And Spike was probably a teenager, young, maybe in his young 20s. But why the head for Daniel is bigger doesn't make much sense. It should be the same size, but it's not. So I have heard others complaining that the head is out of scale. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention this helmet does come off. That's actually part of the transformation, is moving this head around. So the helmet does come off for that purpose. But I am a little disappointed with the head, only because the scale is not right. I don't care that the eyes aren't painted. A lot of people have complained about that. Overall, this figure, I mean, it looks nice. I think the main reason this was included with Bumblebee was they couldn't justify the $70 price tag on Bumblebee compared to some of the other vehicle Autobot cars. So they included this guy. And, it is very movie accurate. It does look like the figure for the movie. Oh, by the way, he does have little side skirts here, which is nice, a nice detail. And he's got these little lights here and jetpack. So it is good detail. But this is the main problem with this figure. The arms just pop right off, and you can't really get it positioned in a way that you would really like want it, you know. And it's you know, it's nicely detailed, and you can't get imposed, but the fact that the arms pop off, I'm kind of disappointed with that. It's not very good quality control. So that's about it for that. I'm gonna get him transformed and see how he looks. And here we have Daniel in his exosuit vehicle mode. This is really weird, you know. I don't even remember. There might have been one scene where this was, you know, happened, but it's a really weird vehicle mode. You know, it does have boosters here, and the wheels do roll. All four actually roll, but it's a very odd vehicle. You do have to move, you know, turn his head upwards and then get this thing back on. But I don't really care for this. This seems kind of silly. I prefer to leave this guy in exosuit mode. But that's basically it for the exosuit and Daniel. I'd say one of my main problems is probably the scale of the head, the face. Other than that, you know, I think this was a worth it. This set was worth it. I like the fact that they gave you two things. You know, this is pretty well scaled with this, so maybe overall the scale is good, but the head is just out of scale. But that's it for this review. If you like this review, please give me a thumbs up or subscribe to my channel. As always, please feel free to leave me some comments, any questions you have or any comments you have on my video. Again, thanks for watching, and watch again next time. Bye-bye.